Hello, I am streaming again. I streamed on Saturday doing the MTGO Creator Showdown playing Modern, which was quite fun, and I was able to place well enough to prize, which was pretty sweet. That's the first time I've streamed in several years. I streamed a couple years ago and didn't really think it was my favorite thing. Wasn't really for me, but I did it the other day, and it wasn't as bad as I had remembered. I think I've gotten a little more comfortable talking to the camera, filling some dead air, as I put out a lot of Pauper videos over the last year. And so we're trying another stream. Today, we are going to be brewing an idea for a deck that I've had for a little while, but I was thinking about it again, and I think that it could actually be okay. Could be decent, which is Esper Scam. So I built some people may remember that I built a scam deck and played it on the channel a year ago. In fact, it was my first Pauper video on the channel. That was with Girder Goons, a card from Streets of New Capenna that has Blitz that you can, it sacrifices at your end step, you draw an extra card and it gains haste. And so you can scam that with your Not Dead After Alls or your Undying Evils or anything like that. So I played that deck, didn't do too poorly with it, and then wasn't doing as well as I wanted. So I put the deck away for a little while, played some other decks. This was also very early when I started playing MTGO at all, so I didn't have a very good rating. So I was playing against, I think, some less good players, and so I was doing okay with this deck. After I stepped away from it for a couple of months, got a little bit higher in rating, played some better decks. I tried it again, and I think I went like 0-4, and it just felt absolutely terrible. So I just don't know how viable that version of Scam is at this moment. I think if Girder Goons, let me pull up Girder Goons so we all know what I'm talking about. I think Girder Goons is a playable card if it were printed in Modern Horizons. So 4/4 for 5 when it enters, create a tapped 2, or rather when it dies, create a tapped 2/2 rogue. And if you cast it for its blitz cost, it gains haste. When it dies, draw a card and sack it at the end step, and it costs 1 less. So you blitz it, you can attack for 4, then you cast your Not Dead After All on it, and then it dies at the end step, it makes you a 2/2, it draws you a card, and it comes back as a 5/5 that when it dies, it pings them and makes another 2/2. A lot of good value, but just frankly too slow. But if this card was printed in Modern Horizons 3, it would cost 3 and a black, and then it would have a blitz of 2 and a black. And that, I think, could be a real deck. I think that card would be pretty decent, but unfortunately, we don't have that at the moment. So this is not going to be what I'm building around, unfortunately, as much as I love it. The reason that I want to try Esper Scam is because I think, well, so after Dimir Scam, I built Azorius Scam, I built Rakdos Scam, I built every single list that I could think of. None of them felt very good. But one thing that I did that I kind of liked was I built an Azorius Shell. Of course, you have Ephemerate, Mulldrifter, because why wouldn't you, right? And these are, I mean, this is, you know, it's not called Scam, but this is already used in many decks, right? This is used in Flickertron, this is used in Familiars, it's used in Jeskai Ephemerate, right? And that is incredibly strong. There's this other card that I really think is interesting and has some potential, which is Angelic Renewal, 2 mana. Did I close this window? The preview window? All right, let's not close that. Oh, that goes off the screen. All right, for now, this is where it is. Angelic Renewal. Whenever a creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may sacrifice this enchantment. If you do, return that card to the battlefield. So, more expensive than Ephemerate. Obviously, it doesn't rebound. I'm not saying it's better than Ephemerate, but you can play this on turn 2, and then you can evoke a Mulldrifter on turn 3, and right away, you get your 4 card draws and a 2/2 flyer, as opposed to having to wait until turn 4 and doing it. Which, if your opponent's not expecting, could be good because they might tap out, especially even if they think you are like some sort of Ephemerate Mulldrifter deck. They're not going to expect it on turn 3. Obviously, once you play the Angelic Renewal, maybe that shows that the jig is up. But in any case, I think this is kind of a cool interaction. And Ephemerate, I think, can also have some potential with Spellstutter Spray. Obviously, Spellstutter's great. It's great in Fairies decks, but it's just great by itself. That's why, like, I've seen Elves splash it. I've seen Walls splash it. I've seen a bunch of cards. It doesn't need to counter more than a 1-drop for it to be really, really strong. Now, Ephemerate rebounding on the Spellstutter isn't going to do anything, so that's not amazing. But the first Spellstutter already counters a 1-drop, ideally, maybe a 2-drop if you already have a Spellstutter. And then the second Ephemerate, and then when you cast an Ephemerate, you can counter another 1-drop. And if you Spellstutter their 1-drop and they try to bolt your Spellstutter in response, and then you Ephemerate, that can also be a pretty sweet trick. So I think that's got some potential as well. Now, Of course, I'm looking at other evoke cards as well when I'm looking at scamming, right? And I think this one has some potential, especially with another card. Herd of Migration, is that not what it's called? Herd? Is that's not how you spell herd. Is this how you spell herd? No, that's, why am I know how to spell herd. Soul of Migration. Soul of Migration. I know what it is. Okay, Soul of Migration is actually what I'm looking for here. We get this guy. So 2/4 flyer for 7 mana, way too expensive, but 4 mana to evoke it, and when it enters, you create 2/1/1 birds. So 4 mana to have a bad battle screech, basically. But then you ephemerate it for 5 mana total. You get 4 birds and a 2/4 flyer, and then also you ephemerate it on your upkeep, and you get 2 more birds. Goes wide very, very quickly, which seems kind of sweet, honestly. But then I realized with the new, I can never remember some of these new card names. Oh, perfect, it came up right away. Summon Chocomog. Other creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. It doesn't say it, but this is essentially an ETB, right? So if you ephemerate this, you will get that trigger again. Also, this is another creature. It's hard to find evoke. It's hard to find scam pieces because there's only so many evoke cards. A lot of them are really expensive. Blitz is a nice other thing you can use, but now that we have Saga creatures, that's essentially another evoke kind of a thing where it's going to die at some point. So this works well with Angelic Renewal because if you sacrifice it on your 4th turn, you can just bring it right back again, and then you can pump your team twice, which seems good when we're already playing a lot of creatures, and specifically the Soul of Migration, which pumps our team. Excuse me. It also just turns our Ephemerate into... Excuse me again. Sorry, I just wolfed down some lunch real quick. It also turns Ephemerate into charge, essentially. +1/+0 for just ephemerating. So I think this has some potential. Obviously, these cards are kind of expensive, but I kind of like that idea, right? And so I think we're going to give that a try. We also can get, of course, the reason to go black here is twofold. One of them is Refurbished Familiar. Now, we don't currently have any other guys making artifacts, so is Esper really the way to go? I don't know. Ephemerate with Refurb is really good. And like I said, I tried this as an Azorius shell before, and it's possible that Chocomog just pushes it more into that Azorius. But Refurb is a very good card. This means we'll probably need to play artifact lands, which we're already going to need to play several dual lands anyway, if we're 3 colors. Although if we're 2 colors, we could get away with just a few. But it also lets us play Landscape, Contaminated Landscape. This name I remember right away. It lets us play Contaminated Landscape, which land Cape. I remember the name, I just can't spell it. Contaminated Landscape. Which is not a reason to play 3 colors, but I do like these landscapes quite a bit. So there's that, but then also if we go into black, we get access to other scam pieces, right? Now, if we already have Angelic Renewal and Ephemerate, do we need more? I don't know. But Not Dead After All is probably the best. Not Dead After All. Except that it makes the creature come back tapped, which can be a real pain. But otherwise, it's 1 mana, and when it dies, return to the battlefield tapped, and it gets +1/+1, and then when it dies, your opponent loses a life. So it's either that or Undying Malice, which is just gives it Undying. So if it doesn't have a counter, it'll +1/+1 counter, it'll come back with a +1/+1 counter. Assuming we don't play too many of those, there's no other reason these guys would have counters. That might be okay too. But maybe we just, I think we're going to try Esper. But maybe it would just be better as Azorius. But there's one other thing I wanted to mention, which is with Angelic Renewal, you need, like, Mulldrifter sacks itself, but Spellstutter Sprite does not sacrifice itself, obviously. So having black would give us Fanatical Offerings, which would allow us to sacrifice the Spellstutter Sprite at instant speed and return it with an Angelic Renewal. Rattleclaw says a Cursed Marauder. That is not a bad idea. Cursed Marauder would let us, if we just have like a Mulldrifter sitting around or whatever, Soul of Migration sitting around, then and an Angelic Renewal on the field, this would allow us to sacrifice one of those to trigger that. I kind of like that. Feels like maybe 1 or 2 in the main deck, but it could be something that we play more of in the side for Terror and other matches that play 1-of creatures, Bogles, things like that. Yeah, I like the idea of Marauder. And, oh yeah, I think one of the main reasons I didn't mention or I did mention already, but with Esper is that we get the better draw package. Black is the best color for draw and sacrifice, which is what we want for the Angelic Renewal. when I did Azorius, I had to play Perilous Research, which is just a really bad looking fanatical offering because you don't get an additional map or anything like that. But also, the sack is on resolution, which can be nice if your spell gets countered, but also we're very specifically wanting to sacrifice permanents to get our triggers. So if we cast this, they could potentially, like, exile our guy in response or something. That's not super likely because there's not a lot of instant speed exile. They could bounce in response. That's a reason. But in general, Perilous Research is just not quite as good. So I think Fanatical Offering seems decent. We might even fit in a couple of Eviscerator's Insights. Yeah, so this is what we're looking at right now. These are the cards I'm interested in. Oh, sort by mana cost. Not the best with Affinity and Evoke and things like that. But yeah, so I mean, let's put some lands in here. Obviously, we're gonna have at least one of each basic. StrataGames, how about instead of Refurbished Familiars, Mournwelks? Mournwelk is a good suggestion. So if you have seen my scam video from last year, I played Dimir Scam. I played a Mournwelk in that list, and I like Mournwelk a lot. However, Mournwelk's just really expensive. Now, it is 4 mana, and we're already playing some 4 mana with the Soul of Migration, so I don't hate it. And the artifacts do look like they're going to be kind of tough because it might just be coming from lands and offerings. So I don't hate the idea. We might want to give that a try. Where are the islands? Here they are. Yeah, I think we could maybe try it on Mournwelk. We're already going for like a slow control kind of mid-range deck. Obviously, we're very creature heavy. We're not going to be hard control, but we're probably going to play, if we can afford it, we would play Counterspell. It depends on how the mana works out. But yeah, I say let's get a Mournwelk in here, and we'll see if we have to cut it. But yeah, with Refurb, of course, for more artifacts, we could play Inspectors, which aren't bad, but, I mean, they're great cards in general, but ephemerating them is very lackluster, because you have to pay for the cost of the clue, whereas if you just ephemerate a Mulldrifter or whatever, you just get the cards right away. So it almost feels like if we want ephemerate card draw targets, we would just want, like, Spirited Companion or the new cat one, the Foundations cat one, I can't remember what that's called. So, yeah, Refurb could definitely be a cut. We'll leave it as a possibility here for now. And this is kind of where I'm at with it. I'm sure we need some other stuff. Obviously, we need some interaction. If we're going black, we're probably going to put in a couple cast downs. Maybe even Snuff Out, because we're going to have to tap out on our own turn a lot to do Mulldrifter, Soul Migration, and or Mournwelk. So I don't hate Snuff Outs. And when I did Dimir Scam, I played a lot of Snuff Out. Of course, it was before Brood Scale, but it was also just, Snuff Out was a little better, and it's not amazing right now. But I honestly tried, and I don't know if it's terrible, I tried Foil for a little while. Foil is definitely a card you need to be able to draw a ton of cards to use. Of course, we'd also need to up our island count quite a bit. But if you can evoke a Mulldrifter and then ephemerate it with an Ephemerate, obviously, a Flicker it, then that's 4 cards right there that you draw, not to mention 2 more cards on your upkeep. So I kind of don't hate Foil because if you have it while you're going for the Mulldrifter, you can stop them from stopping you, and then you still just refill your hand. And if you tap out for the Mulldrifter and then you draw into the Foil, then you can stop them from whatever they're doing. Awful Snout for the board, probably not as good as Fairy Macabre. Yeah, Awful Snout. I love Evoke, of course. I always want it to be playable. I don't have any in my inventory, clearly. But it's just not very good. Oh, we can do the wackier one of these. ETB target, exile target card from a graveyard. I think maybe 1 black would be too much for this, but we already have like Thraben Terms and stuff. I think if it ETB'd and exiled an entire graveyard, not that you would need to flicker it on the evoke trigger, you wouldn't need that twice right away, but of course it'd be good to ephemerate later. I think it would be playable, but yeah, we probably just want Fairy Macabre. I'm certainly down for other graveyard hate. Like, I'm down to try Awful Snout. The problem is that after you go through the hoops, you get to exile, like if you ephemerate this, you get to exile 2 cards, and then you have a 2/2 with no abilities. Like, Flash is important for the evoke, but like, even just a 2/2 flyer is really good to have at the end, and a 2/2 that doesn't do anything else is kind of not bad and not very good. So if this was like a 4/4 for 5 that evoked for 1 or 2. Like, that could be really sweet. But yeah, I think maybe we'll give it a try. We're just trying stuff here, so I'm happy to try out Awful Snout. Oops. And see how it goes. But let's see what else I had previously in lists. Oh, I never played this list, but when I tried building it, I played an Eagles of the North, which is just a land drop, and then if you get really late game, you can ephemerate it. I think that's okay, and since we're 3 colors, we might want some land cyclers anyway, but I think the Chocomog's just a far better version of the ETB, since it's 3 mana and happens over and over and over, as opposed to 6 mana for that. I did have some Inspectors. That didn't look great. Dawnbringer Cleric as like a 1-of in the main or maybe side, but that can be not Lyra. That can be our Graveyard Hate, a little bit of life gain, enchantment. I don't have a Dawnbringer Cleric. That's not true. Okay, there it is. Oh, I realize my sideboard is hidden at the moment. So let's shrink this, put it down here. I think that's a good spot for it, although grow it a little more. Haven't figured out the best setup for this. That seems decent. And then, yeah, sideboard over here. I think Dawnbringer seems like a good one. Honestly, this might just be better than Awful Snout. No flash is relevant, but we just get it on the field early, probably not getting removed, and then we can ephemerate it when we need it. And otherwise, it also blows up enchantments and gains life. So, not looking good for Awful Snout. But, yeah, I think this could be okay. Let's see, what other lands are we going to want? I guess it really depends if we want land cyclers. Lorien, I don't think Lorien's going to be necessary, because we already have 4 Mulldrifters, and we're going to be playing Fanaticals. This is kind of weird to have like this evoke card draw package in with the Fanatical offerings. I'm not sure how well it'll play, but I think it's interesting enough to give a try. Offering does mean we're going to want at least a couple artifact lands. Not crazy if we don't go for familiars, but just a couple to sacrifice in a pinch if we need to. I think that seems reasonable. I guess if we're playing Chocomog, we probably want more cheaper creatures too, so we can play these on turn 3. Yeah, the problem is that our curve kind of starts here. I mean, Mulldrifter is a 3-drop, and yeah, there we go. Mulldrifter's a 3-drop. These are 4s. This is either a 4 or 2. It's like a 1 or it's not here. Since we're doing this, I think maybe we give Familiar a try. I mean, obviously Familiar is just good. So I think maybe we give it a try and put in a bunch of artifact lands, since we're already going to want artifact lands for offerings and other things like that. Yeah, so if we do that, we could also play Thoughtcast and Blood Fountain. Now we're just becoming Affinity, which is not really the goal. Let's see. Ephemerate with Mulldrifter. We could do Augur Bolas, but we'd have to make sure, do we have enough spells? That doesn't seem likely. We could, let's see, this is a 2, this is a 2. We could do Militia Bugler. That kind of picks up Familiar, Sprite, Mulldrifter, or Solo Migration. And if we're doing Refurb, we're probably dropping Mournwelk. I'm not really the biggest Bugler fan, but maybe we could work it out here if we're doing like 4 Familiars, 4 Mulldrifters, 4 Sprites, and like, I don't know, 2 Souls or something. Mournwelk is probably on the outs then. And this doesn't get Chocomog, but it's another creature to kind of fill the board to help with the Choco. I mean, oh, it gets Marauder too? I don't know. This kind of seems kind of cool to me. I don't know. I kind of like it. If we're going mid-range E, we're going to want some cast downs. Cast down is always a tough one to find because anything that says cast is going to come up pretty much. There it is. I think we're going to want like 2 or 3 cast downs. Let's just throw everything in right now. I'll put in a foil. I don't know if we'll end up using it, but it's a possibility. And Snuff Out. It feels like we're going to have expensive things that we need to cast, and we kind of just have to hope they resolve. But then if we have a bunch of cheap and free spells off of that, it kind of makes up for it. I don't know. I mean, this is definitely a bit of a pile, but let's get numbers. So black is actually looking to be one of our main colors. Ooh, I guess bridges conflict with foil. If we're doing foil, we want fetchable duels. Same with Snuff Out. That is a bit of a conflict. Although we're going to need more than just bridges if we want refurbs. So if we want refurbs in here, we need to figure out another creature that makes artifacts, probably. Some early artifact. Thraben Inspector is gotten by Bugler. It's okay with Ephemerate and Angelic Renewal. Fine with Offering. Decent with Marauder because we can sacrifice it if we want. And it's good with Chocomog. It might just be necessary to play some Inspectors. We also don't have any 1-drops that we were playing on turn 1 otherwise. Oh, the other idea here, which I've thought about before, is not Glint Hawk because we're not artifact based, but Core Skyfisher picks up Familiar, Marauder, Sprite, Mulldrifter, Mog, Soul, Bugler, and Bugler can get it as well. At some point, I'm probably putting too many things together, and yet synergy. I mean, as weird as it is, I kind of like Skyfisher Sprite. Well, and here, look, we gotta call it at some point, and not put too many more things in. But with all these ETBs and also 2-power creatures, ninjas. If we put in some hackers, it picks everything up nicely. Esper, Scam, Ninjas. I mean, that doesn't work super nicely with Ephemerate or Angelic Renewal, but it's decent with Bugler. Picks everything up. I mean, that is not how you spell circuit. I mean, this could be kind of funny. We super need 1-drops then with this, which means we're back to Inspectors. Definitely too many things going on that we need to cut something. Right now I'm just throwing everything at the wall, seeing what stands out. Because we could do, let's see, do fairies for 1-drops. I mean, fairies and Chocomog, that kind of makes sense. Could this just turn into like a weird Azorius or Esper fairies deck? Maybe that's a different deck entirely. But if we just play a bunch of fairies, we have Spell Stutters and Skyfishers and Ninjas, then we pump it with the Chocomog? Okay, I think that's a different deck, but honestly, that sounds kind of interesting. Azorius fairies. Okay, so let's not do that just because it sounds too different. Let's go Inspectors, I guess. We could also look up, like, artifact creatures that have an ETB that also are 1 mana. I don't feel like we're going to find very good ones. Cogwork Wrestler, Network Disruptor, Silver Ray. Yeah, and again, those all feel very fairies-esque. What about that? What about this? Yeah, no, it does not look like it. Voldarn Epicure. Ooh, let's go 4-color. All right. I think Inspectors might just be what we gotta do, and just accept that Ephemerate on Inspector's not amazing, and Hacker on Inspector is okay. This brings me back to all the Glitters days. Okay. My main problem is that I kind of like the idea of the foil and the snuff outs, but that's just not going to work with the artifacts. But we need 1-drop creatures for the Mog. So we're either cutting the artifacts and finding a different 1-drop, or we're keeping the artifacts and we're getting rid of these. I think that's the way we're leaning. Again, the 1-drops and Mog plan might be more fairies. Maybe the Eagles of the North isn't terrible because we don't actually need the Chocomog on turn 3. We want it on like turn 5 or 6, but then we're also going for Eagles. Again, needs duels, fetchable duels, and that means we're going against artifacts again. All right, let's just try this. I'm usually like a 5 Inspector kind of a guy. Unless you're like White Weenie, more usually feels like overkill. And it's right to split them as best you can in case someone plays Echoing Decay or Return, which occasionally see play. If we're doing ninjas, we're doing probably 4 hackers. I think hackers better than deep hours here, just for the cost. Okay. Does this look like anything at all? Not really. I mean, I think there's some interesting stuff here for sure. We need more interaction because we're really slow. We have a lot of creatures. Thraben Charm's just good in general, although if we're doing Dawnbringers in the side, I probably don't need a ton of Thrabens because we already have Graveyard and Enchantments covered a little bit. Like, we could do like 1 of in the main. Maybe we're just doing 4 cast downs. Okay. Well, the issue is we're kind of also split. We don't really have a main color anymore, or a main 2 colors even. We're kind of just everything, which is not generally what you want to do. Blue could be our splash. We could just have like We could cut in a Mulldrifter and a Hacker. Still 10 cards. I don't know. If blues are splashed, then we're at 4 Goldmire. Let's see, we need white on turn 1 for Inspector, so I guess we want more Razor Tides. Then like 2 Mistvault. It's a lot of tap lands. We also don't need that many. We could maybe just do like some Ancient Dens and stuff. I don't know how many landscapes we want. 4 feels like a little too much. I don't feel like we're gonna want to go quite as late as like Wildfire, which likes 4. I think 3 maybe. And we could maybe just play like an Ancient Den or 2. Although currently we have 9 white sources, only 5 blue, 5 black. If we're doing this split with the bridges, which means we'd actually need to go fewer of these. So I think we're gonna cut. I think we're gonna do like a 3-2-2 with the bridges. Bring a couple Mistvaults back, so that we can get more untapped white sources on turn 1. Probably want 16. We're probably going to want 19 lands, maybe 20 lands. We're going to be a mana intensive deck for sure. I don't think we have enough interaction. 4 Spell Stutters, 2 Marauders, 2 Cast Downs, a Thraben Charm. Also, I don't think we finalized some of these numbers because I don't really think 1 Angelic Renewal. I feel like at least 2. 2 Skyfishes is weird. We're running out of room. We're going to have to cut some things or cut numbers back, which is fine. Soul of Migration is, I mean, probably our worst card, but also kind of what I'm trying to build the deck around a little bit. Like, everyone knows Ephemerate Mulldrifter is good. It's good enough to include here, but I think I'm trying to kind of make this work. Fanatical is kind of awkward. I guess we don't need Fanatical if we have Inspectors, Hackers, and Mulldrifters. Is that necessary? We don't have, I mean, without Ichor Wellspring, we don't have anything amazing that we want to sacrifice. Like, we have fine things. And, Not Dead after all. Does this still fit in what we're doing? If I already am playing 3 Ephemerate, 2 Angelic Renewal, and if I'm cutting Fanatical, I don't think Not Dead feels great. It's still not bad with Mulldrifter, Soul of Migration, or the Chocomog when it dies, but we're no longer controlling when our things die very well. Without Fanatical, that's the main problem. Is there anything better to sacrifice our creatures in Esper, like as an additional cost? Spell, sacrifice a creature. Because Fanatical doesn't feel quite right. Tendrils of Despair, mind rot your opponent for 1 mana. I always like that. Not sure that's really what we need here. It's not instant speed, too. We want something that we can, like, theoretically, if we have Mulldrifter, sac effect goes off, or is on the stack, and then we ephemerate it, great. But if we have a Mulldrifter and you have an Angelic Renewal on the field, in response to the sacrifice trigger, we can actually get more value by sacrificing it to something else. So we could just play, like, Village Rites or something as for 1 mana. The 1 mana makes, like, helps a lot there, but it's kind of weird, but it's also kind of not. It instant speed draws us 2, but it also just turns our renewal. It gives us a way to use renewal at our discretion. And I'm not seeing anything better. I mean, we could try it. Oh, yeah, I had this idea last night and I totally forgot about it. Abjure. I don't know if that's really where we want to be, but Abjure is a way that would let us sacrifice the Mulldrifter, but of course, it's not at our discretion. It's if our opponent casts something, which the Mulldrifter is not really going to work when we're evoking it. But if we just have a Mulldrifter or a Spellstutter or whatever on the field, then we Abjure, sack that thing with a renewal on the field, we bring it back right away. But like with Spellstutter, that just means we double counter something, which is not super effective. Moonstruck Hacker doesn't really matter, and Mulldrifter would be good, but that's the only one. Insight. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything better. Well, let's see. I could just cut the Fanatical and the Not Dead. Then black is definitely our splash color, and is it still worth having? Refurb's still great, but we do have to play not just black mana, but artifact lands for it. But we do need cheap guys to get this Mog going. I think we're gonna keep the black, but we're going to try cutting these 2. Marauder and Cast Down and Refurb are all still very good, but then black definitely becomes the support color, which means maybe cut a Goldmire for this and do 4-2-2. I mean, we'll look at the mana at the end for sure. Once we finish up this list, we'll definitely take it into a league and see if we can get any wins with it. I don't know. What else do you need in a deck like this? If we can support it, Counterspell would be nice. That would be tough, but could maybe make it work. We're already at capacity for spells, though. because we need probably 3 or 4 more lands. That's our whole board. Plus, are we just playing 2 Skyfishers? That feels a little weird. And do we have enough interaction with these 9 spells? 9's not bad. We can maybe get away with that. Is 4 Mulldrifters too much? Like, it's so good. And we have 5 spells that combo with it really nicely. Bugler's nice, but do we need 3 of it? I mean, we were playing 32 creatures, and this pulls out all but these. So it pulls out 30 of them. Half the deck. That's pretty nice. I don't know. Is Hacker weird? I think we're trying this. I kind of like what we're doing. I'm just making sure we're not missing anything obvious. What else could we be missing? Let's look at some of my previous Esper lists. I brew 5 or 10 times as many decks as I show in videos, so I definitely have some of these already. Ooh, Kenku Artificer is interesting. If we're doing bridges, it can be bought back with a Skyfisher or a Bugler. It can be ephemerated. It can be renewaled. It's pretty dang slow, but we're trying to be medium slow. I think maybe a 1 of Kenku could be interesting. It's also 2 creatures for the Mog. Another reason we have bridges, it kind of combos with some nice stuff. Oh, I guess we're just missing card selection. I don't think we can afford to fit cantrips. We do have some decent draw with Inspectors, Moon Circuit. We did take out the Fanaticals, but maybe this will be enough. Anything else we're missing? I mean, I still could put in Lorien. It just, especially if we're not doing duels, doesn't feel great. Archaeomancer, I think we're just, I don't think I'm Archaeomancering here. I don't think we're doing that. Yeah, I think Counterspell is kind of the main last thing that I'm trying to figure out if I want to fit in. We're blue, white, splash black. Well, let's work out our mana a little bit better. We want to have as many 1-drops, or rather white sources for 1-drops as we can, which is currently 3. But we also have 6 that'll come into play, untaps the next turn. So that's 9, plus we have landscapes, 12 white sources. I'm just trying to think if I just put in a couple more basics here, or a couple more artifact lands. I think we could maybe get away with like 1 Seat of the Synod or something. I don't know if 1 really matters, but it adds to our artifact count. Technically could be targeted with the Artificer. I guess how many blue sources do we have? 8. That does not, it's not terrible. I think we could add another island. 9 blue, 9 white. I'm not including the landscapes. And then 5 black. 5 black is low. Although, do I even want to add? It's weird because if white blues are our main colors, you'd think I would just want 4 Razortide bridges. But actually, it's better probably to have more of the black dual lands so that our lands that tap for black also tap for another color, as opposed to putting in more swamps here. So actually, maybe I take out like a Razortide for another Goldmire. That's 6 black sources. 9 really with the landscapes. We're at 18 lands. I think we want 1 more. And if we're not putting in Counterspell, I think this mana base is fine. If we are, we're missing definitely a couple of sources. So I think we're going to try it without Counterspell and maybe just add 1 more Goldmire bridge. And then, I don't know, I could try this. Is this list any good? It feels like it does some stuff. That's kind of cool. Our 3-drop slot's a little heavy, especially when these want to be 4s. And these are more like 5s. I could like maybe cut a Bugler for another Skyfisher. Bugler does seem good, but too many 3s is not where we want to be at. I don't know. I think this seems okay. Let's work on the sideboard. I think we're probably doing like 3 Dawnbringers for our Graveyard Hate. I already have a Thraben Charm. I think I probably want another Thraben Charm at least, with Spy going around. Enchantments are pretty good here then. I think Awful Snot is getting cut, unfortunately. Oh, how many artifacts do we have? We probably should have counted that. 6, 12, plus 5 Inspectors. I don't really know the chances of that getting refurb. I feel like refurbs on 2 isn't going to be hard. 3 is going to be maybe a little challenging. I think we'll give it a try though. And then, what other sideboard cards exist? Dust to Dust. We're going to want some of those. If we go up against Affinity, that's a way we can just win the game, even if we have a terrible deck. I don't know. I always want 3 because there's too many cards to put in your sideboard until my opponent plays Affinity, and then I want 4. Blue, I guess we'll want Hydroblasts, or rather Blue Elemental Blasts, because I think I have like 1 Hydro, because they're like 12 or 15 tickets or something outrageous. Fill sideboard with these. 4 Blue Blasts, plus Dawnbringers is our anti-red, although we also probably need anti-go wide for elves. We're probably big enough mana that like Arms of Hadar would be better than Suffocating Fumes. We play creatures, so we can't do Drown in Sorrow. At least 2 of these. I think Mournwelk might just be getting cut. And then, what am I missing? We have Graveyard Hate, Red Hate. We don't have Duress. Duress is what I'm missing. Or Pyroblasts, but we're not playing red. I think we could fit a couple Duress in here if we take out a Dust to Dust. Or do I need 3 Clerics? Probably not. Well, I guess our Graveyard Hate then is 1 Charm and 2 of these. Oh, do I want a Bajuka Bog is a question. We're not playing Ghostly Flicker. We do all have Core Skyfishers though, which can rebog. There's another tap land. We're only on 19 lands. Is 19 too few? Should I be playing 20? I mean, I'm not drawing anywhere near as many cards as Wildfire, which plays 20. Actually, it's been playing 21. We don't have Cyclers or anything. I guess I might want to play a 20th land, and if so, maybe I do just make that the Bajuka Bog. But I have to cut 1 more card then, which would be, could be our Mulldrifter, could be a Soul, but I want to try at least 2 Souls. Inspector, could just be a Hacker. We're not like a Fairies Ninja deck, right? We're not trying to like Hacker and then back it up with counter spells. Like this is kind of just to reset one of our good ETBs and while drawing us a card. And it doesn't combo as well with these. Maybe just 3 of them is fine. Oh, for Dust to Dust as well, I need to check. White sources again, 6, 9, 10, 13. I think that's fine. All right, I think this is acceptable, right? Hello, Big Mech. How's it going? We are just finishing up the brew and probably going to take it into a league here in just a second. We've brewed Esper Scam, and you know, it looks interesting. We'll see how it plays out, but I think we've got some cool stuff going on. Yeah, I think we're ready to go. I do think Ninja's not really doing anything when we don't have good attacks. It's going to be really awkward. I think it'll get stranded in our hand a lot. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm thinking that we have a lot of flyers, so the chances we have the ability to get in with one of our flyers is high, because we have 4 Refurbs, 3 Skyfisher, 4 Mulldrifter, 4 Sprite, and Soul of Migration. Most of our creatures are flying, so if we go up against like White Weenie or something else, any Skyfisher Glinthawk deck, it could be tough. Obviously against Chrysalis, it's going to be tough, maybe. We do have Cast Downs and Marauders for the Chrysalis. I mean, it's not a bad point. We could certainly, like, the Hackers aren't mandatory. We could swap them for something else, for some of the Buglers and maybe Cast Downs and stuff that I cut. They're not looking terrible to me. I think it's interesting enough that I kind of want to try it. We have so many flyers, which is why I'm thinking it might be okay. But yeah, if we go up against Chrysalis, if we go up against a Glinthawk deck, we might have trouble. But also Glinthawk, like, a couple Skyfishes attacks in. I think it's worth testing for sure. Yeah, I think so. If it looked terrible, we would just cut it. But I think it's interesting enough to give it a try. And I don't know. I think we'll take this into a league and see how we do. I mean, can't be too bad, right? Let's do it. Oh, it's popped up over here. Hello. All right. I do think Ninja probably looks to be one of the toughest cards in the deck, or rather, it synergizes a lot, but yeah, I could definitely see it being the first card cut. But we will see how this plays, and yeah, I think it'll be cool. I do think like an Azorius Fairies deck could be kind of cool with Mog. All right, we got our first opponent here, and let me think pulling this down will hope that. All right, well, our overlay is a little overshadowed here. Then it kind of pops out. Maybe I need to reconfigure that a little bit. All right, we got 2 lands, refurb, double Ephemerate, double Cast Down. On the play, this is not looking great. Turn 1, we bridge. Turn 2, we have nothing. We can Cast Down, we can sack this for blue. We don't draw land, we can't play Familiar. I think this is a mulligan, unfortunately. This one looks better. We do have the tap land, which makes it a little awkward. We can't go Inspector, Hacker right away. We get Hacker, or Inspector on turn 2, Hacker, maybe draw land, hit like Renewal. This is fine. I think the question is, which of these 3 I get rid of? Well, not these. I mean, Soul of Migration is expensive, but like we have the Renewal, so this could just be a 4-drop, and when we get it, it's pretty decent because it is 4 birds and a 2/4 flyer. So do we just put back Hacker so Cast Down can keep us alive? Seeing as Hacker's kind of awkward in our draw, I think we might get rid of this. I mean, if we attack, rebuy our Inspector, replay it on turn 3, it's okay, but also that means our Inspector has to get in, which is not a guarantee when it's not coming down until turn 2 and attack until turn 3. All right, they're on Island Go. Deck. You know, that's a good point. I should have probably some way for you to see the deck list. What would the best way to do that be? As I've mentioned, where'd this go? It's all the way down here still. I'm not very accustomed to streaming, so I don't have a command for deck. That is something I will work on. But yes, currently this is our deck. We are playing Esper Scam, and I will get the deck list on Moxfield. Ooh, they're just snapping this. Okay, can't do anything about that. I'll get it on Moxfield and I'll send it, but as far as a command, not currently going to be working. Scam. They hit us with the Moon Circuit Hacker. Bring back their Brine Barrow. We draw. Well, they could blow up the Moon Circuit if we care that much, but I'd probably just play the Inspector again, which is not really great. All right, here's the deck list. I will work out how to get a command for next time, how to make that work. We play Inspector. They Brine Barrow. When we block, it dies. Uses up more of our mana. Not great. I could just Thraben Charm, kill this. They Brine Barrow, maybe hit us with another Ninja. Not terrible. Uses our mana better. I could just cast this down, but I probably might as well just Thraben Charm it. I could crack a Clue to try to get lucky, but I think that seems worse. I could Thraben Charm this in their upkeep, but then if the chances they have Dispel or Spell Piercer are decent, and if I do that, they just could have Counterspell, but I kind of am fine if they want to Counterspell. I think maybe we do just Thraben Charm it in their upkeep. I don't know. Obviously, if I knew I had a land on top, we'd crack this Clue. Also, if they just tap out here, I'll blow it up. If they just flash in the Brine Barrow. And they do. So in that case, we'll just destroy it now. I could certainly have another Ninja, but at least that'll be costing more mana. And if I waited to do that until they Ninja'd and then tried to cast down, they could have another Ninja, they could have a Snap, they could have a bunch of things. They do have another Hacker, though. Let's see. Another land is obviously what we're hoping for. Familiar. Our beautiful artifact and mana base working amazingly here. I mean, if we... Inspector just gets countered by a Sprite. So I think I just refurb here, right? Or I could cast down. This will chump with the Brine Barrow. I think that might be fine, though. If they counterspell, I can't do anything about that. But, oh, they force spike. Well, that is annoying. That is annoying. And they Brine Barrow. Well, we ended up even going responsibly and playing 20 lands. So hopefully we'll draw one. They Fairy Seer to see what they're looting. They top both. And they swing for 3. Unless they have another Ninja, which would be pretty annoying. Either way, it's kind of annoying, though, because then they just hold up Counterspell. They have the other Moon Circuit, and they go for the Greed double, which is fair because we can't really punish them. If only we had land in the Suffocating Fumes, I guess. We have a land tapped, which means we could just play an Inspector. They have Brine Barrow. I could cast one of these down. If they have Force Spike, that's worse. Inspector, and then next turn we can cast down an Inspector. I guess we do that. Play another one of these. This way they can't Force Spike us at the very least. And flash in Brine Barrow. That kind of makes me feel like they have another one. Or they're just going to tap this down. Yeah. Get in for 6. We're not doing great. I think their Moon Circuit Hacker deck might be a little better than ours. We do have Arms of Hadar and Duress. I think that's pretty much it for our sideboard. I guess I could check. Arms of Hadar and Duress. Yeah, I mean, Dawnbringer blows up a Moon Circuit, but that's not great. They have another Ninja, too. Yikes. They looted once. Did they choose not to loot the other time? Yeah, I think so. Cast down. Let's see. We cast this down. Inspector. They have a Brine Barrow. Well, they discarded one, but they probably have another or more Strixes. Yeah, try to get rid of this. Play an Inspector. But that gets Force Spiked. Yeah. And then one Ninja or tapping the Inspector will kill us. I'd rather not attack. Thank you. They swing. We will block. And they got the Brine Barrow. And the Ninja. You didn't even need to Brine Barrow. All right, we die. Not a great draw from us, but we'll see what we can do. We get Duresses and Arms of Hadar, and Marauder's not great. Not getting to choose what they lose. Kenku is really bad to snap because they just return our land. So I think it might be these. And I mean, Soul Migration's really good if we can get it through. That's going to be the trick. So we want to set up like a Renewal on the field, Duress turn 5 to take a spell or tap them out and then we solo migration. That could be good. It's either like a Mulldrifter just because it's expensive, or it's like an Inspector because it doesn't really do much. It blocks, but just died to a Brine Barrow. I guess I could bring in Dawnbringer because it blocks ninjas. Also, it destroys Moonsirca Hacker. Is that any good? I mean, honestly, it doesn't seem terrible. Are we hackering against them when we're on the play? Maybe. I mean, it's decent to reset. I guess most of the expensive things. Maybe hacker isn't necessary here. Well, I think we're going to try it on the play, but I think if we win, we'll cut it for the draw. I guess we'll cut like a couple of these. Chocomog, they have a lot of blockers, so I don't know if that matters as much. Might be overthinking it. Thraben Charm is removal, but situational. I don't know. I have no idea how to sideboard with this deck, I will admit. One land with just blue is not going to cut it. Okay, well, again, we put in 20 lands. We're not being that greedy. Three colors for sure, but 20 lands. So we're down to 5. We have 2. I guess that'll have to do. We put back... They are both artifact lands, so we can get down to familiar. I think we get rid of the Choco and the Cast Out, or just the Duress. I kind of want to save the Mulldrifter because we need to get back into this. And I guess Duress doesn't really fit into our curve very well, but it's also nice to get like some things through. I think we'll put back the Duress. If I kept Duress, Cast Down, and Refurb, like we have some decent disruption, but how are we getting back into the game without any like card advantage? Feels tough. So we will not keep those all. Dawnbringer Cleric. I mean, yeah, not terrible if they get down the hacker. We're going to just play familiar for now. Discard an island. If they swing, I think I'm just going to let them do it because it's either a hacker that we can Dawnbringer or it's a big ninja we can cast down, and yeah, they don't even attack. We get a decent 2-drop, but no lands. I think we're just passing. And if they played a 1-drop there, I don't think we spell stutter it because they could just force spike, but it's tough. They swing this time. Now, let's see, I block, they Brine Barrow, I spell stutter, and they force spike it. That's pretty annoying. Yeah, I think we're just letting it through again. If it's a big ninja, I can just cast it down, and if it's a small ninja, we Dawnbringer it like before, and it's just 1 damage through, and they pass. Okay. There's a land. Well, since we're not blocking with this right now, I think we're just attacking and then leaving this up. Now we can't get force spiked at the very least. They swing for 1 and just pass. Do I just want to spell stutter on the field? That doesn't seem necessary. Arms could be okay. Definitely a tough spot. They're going to flash into spell stutter. I can't spell stutter that because it's 2 and this isn't a fairy for some reason. I could cast it down. I don't think that makes that much of a difference. Now they're going in for 2. Okay. Do I want to cast down now? If they counterspell and then untap, we get a land. We can Arms of Hadar, but they could still have a force spike. I think we just pass. We do get a bridge. Do I keep attacking? They block, they Brine Barrow, we spell stutter. We block. If they Brine Barrow, we spell stutter. If they counter that, then we can Arms of Hadar them. So I don't think we attack. I think this is actually decent. Yeah, I think we might be in an okay spot. Finally getting those lands. Yeah, we'll go for the block. They're just happy with the trade. Okay, fair enough. Now I cast down. We have another spell stutter. That doesn't do much. We get a Duress. Man, if we had another land and an Ephemerate, then I could like Duress for the Mulldrifter combo. Dawnbringer doesn't do anything here. I think I will Duress. Just kind of see what's going on. What are they doing over there? What's going on? They got the spell stutter. That's fine. For some reason, I was thinking I could cast this down and get through that, but that's not gonna happen. Another island. Now they have the ninja. I could cast down, they spell stutter, and then I Arms of Hadar them. They still are gonna be at 5 cards, but it's a decent exchange for us. If I cast down now, they also could just Moonsirca Hacker, and that's not great. Either way, they're gonna draw the card, though, unless they don't. They could have chosen not to act. I think we just do it at end step here to avoid the ninja potential. And they snap it. Well, that's annoying. Means they are not going to die to an Arms of Hadar, and they can hold up spell stutter still. I could just hardcast a Mulldrifter, then they counterspell it. They get in with a ninja. It's kind of bad. I'm not really doing anything else, though. We know they have ninja spell stutter. I think we just have to hope they don't have counterspell. And they did, unfortunately. Swing for 2 with the ninja. And replay the fairies here so they have spell stutter sprite up. Huh, scry 2 at the top. We get another Arms. which just does not fit into our curve very well. Like a Dawnbringer, they probably won't spell stutter that, to be honest. So I think I do that. If they do, it's kind of bad because I can't spell stutter back because theirs is better than mine. Yeah, that does just work though. This is not that scary of a spell, but luckily at the moment it holds back the Ninja for us. They swing to show Intimidation, or maybe they're playing Mutagenic. Ninja the Fairy. They replay the Fairy, and I try to spell stutter it. Yep, I guess so. They can't spell stutter this. They could just counterspell it. Maybe I can get an Arms of Hadar through then, if all they have is Force Spike. So they'll probably just let this go. And then Arms doesn't look great if they have another counterspell. That counters them. We have a Hacker. We could give them a taste of their own medicine. We draw a card, get our spell stutter back. I think we got to try to Arms them first and hope they don't counterspell. But if they do, maybe we try again next turn. Yeah, they got another one. So we're just going to pass and see what happens now. They have a Snap. That is annoying. What a broken card Snap is. Free spell. Chumping, I don't think does us any good. Not chumping does us much good either. Harrier Strix. Tap our bridge. Yeah, that's fine. I guess I should have floated a blue, but of one mind. Soul of Migration. Well, they've used 2 counter spells, so I think we just go for another Arms of Hadar. We are very close to dead, and I think this is our best bet. But if they got the counter spell, I think we're just gonna die. So we'll see. They activate Harrier Strix. I mean, that's a good sign. They're digging for it, / they're using the Strix before it goes out. Bin an island, and that works. All right, so how greedy do we want to be here? I attack with a Spell Stutter. I can Hacker it. Obviously, that means they flash in a Spell Stutter. They can attack with a Ninja. But I kind of think we got to do that to try to make something happen. Like another land would be decent. We get the Spell Stutter back. If they do just Brine Barrow our Hacker, it's kind of bad because we don't deal damage. But I think we got to go for the greed play when we're in this position. And it connects. We draw an Inspector. I mean, that's not terrible. Let's just play 3 of these, or maybe just this and this next turn. They're going to get in. They got another Ninja of the Deep Hours. Look at them go. Down to 4. Spell Stutter in hand. 8 islands on the board. Intimidating. We get another Spell Stutter. I could swing with the Hacker. Just kind of dies to a Brine Barrow. Soul of Migration makes 2 guys, but does not do what we need it to right now. I could just Inspector, but then that opens them up to Spell Stutter, and we'd have to double Spell Stutter to get them back. I could just Dawnbringer, because that blocks the Ninja, and then we don't have double Spell Stutter up. I think we're just doing Dawnbringer, gaining 2 life. Destroy target enchantment, I could blow up my Moon Circuit Hacker. I think I'll pass on that this time, and just go to their turn. They flash in a 1-drop, we're going to Spell Stutter it. I think the worst that they could do is just have the counterspell for ours, or I guess double Spell Stutter ours, but yeah, they just have that. Maybe I should have just flashed one in response so I'd have a blocker, and now if they have another Spell Stutter, I can't. Yeah, that might have been a mistake. Well, we'll take it. They got the Moon Circuit Hacker, and I think we're getting one of these on the field, seeing if they want to double Spell Stutter or whatever. They Gale Blade in response. Sure. Okay, we get a bridge. I mean, I think I'm doing my best to hold out until I can just hardcast this migration. This soul, rather. Just 2 1/1s is like okay, but it's not really going to win us the game here, I don't think. Maybe a 2/4 flyer does. That can stick around for a later Ephemerate. Of One Mind. Can't counter that because it's a 3-drop. Pretty good draw from them. Fairy Seer. I think we try to counter this. They don't have any fairies right now, so again, they have to double Spell Stutter or something to make it work. That does counter the Seer. Bind the Monster. Kind of a weird one to have in right now, but they also, I mean, I don't think they knew what we were playing, because who would? Alright, well, I think I'm just blocking everything. Every Brine Barrow, these all trade, but every Brine Barrow means one of our guys doesn't trade. Well, looks like it just is a clean sweep. That's not terrible for us. They have a Hacker. If we untap and draw an untapped land and they don't have a counterspell, that's pretty good. Alright, we're gonna cast this 7-drop that's, definitely gonna win us the game here. Force Spike of the day. Can't stick around for too long, but very cool to see you live. Hope the rest of the stream goes well. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. It's not going well right now. We just got Force Spiked on our 7-drop, but I appreciate you popping in. Yeah, they flash in a Spell Stutter, and if they have a Ninja, we die. I think we probably die regardless, now that did not go through. Force Spike in this economy? I know. Everyone's been trying it with Gale Blade, and, I'm not much of a fan of Force Spike, but we definitely got wrecked by it right there. And they got the Ninja. I mean, we almost rallied back there. So, you know, first game was not great. Second game was okay. But we almost did something cool there. The brew pops off. I'll bring it to a weekly up here. I mean, we'll see. I don't think this... I mean, we're one match in, but this iteration doesn't feel amazing. Although our draws weren't perfect either. But, you know, I'll hold you to that. Hey, we actually have lands. Otherwise, the hand's not amazing, but I think we're just going to keep on that basis. Opponent tanking over whether to keep or not. They're already too intimidated by our brew. They haven't even seen it yet. And they are quaking in their boots. All right, we are starting with the Goldmire Bridge. Skyfish are looking a little awkward unless we get something to play. Inspector off the top would be nice. Even a 2-drop off the top would be nice. What are our 2-drops that would be good here? I guess Spell Stutter. Yeah, I guess we don't have 2-drops that are great to just play. A lot of them are reactive. Land Grant, all right. We are against Spy Walls by the look of the Caretaker. Lotus Petal. They got 2 forests plus a Generosant and a Gatekeeper Vine. That's 4. Masked Vandal is about to wreck us. We get a refurb, which is really good with Skyfisher and Ephemerate. However, we're about to lose a bridge, probably. How does this work? Does it... When it enters, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, so it's going to target regardless. Okay, because they can play it for 2, cycle the Generosant, Caretaker with the Vandal to exile the bridge. Pretty annoying. I could just play a landscape so I have another white for next turn, but I actually think I just want to play this for now. Vandal always wrecking us though. And in our main deck we have pretty much just Thraben Charm for them. We did put a Bojuka Bog in, but that's not really going to be that helpful. But sideboard we have an extra Thraben Charm and 2 Dawnbringer Clerics. Maybe we should have put some Fairy Macabres in. It's okay. We're just testing things out. It'll be fine. Don't even worry about it. They decide to cycle on the end step in case they maybe drew one of them. Play a forest. There's the Vandal. Yeah, trigger on the stack. They can... Wait, why did I think they needed to make a mana off of this? Oh, they could have done it without using their Lotus Petal, I'm pretty sure. Because this targets regardless, and then they could tap these. So unless they have something else to use this 1 mana for, they kind of just wasted their petal. But we also lost a land, so who's the bigger fool here? Okay, that's not terrible. It lets us play a familiar. However, then it sets us back on the landscape. We don't have white. So I actually think I need to play this. I can sack that for a white. Then next turn I can refurb an Ephemerate. And against their deck, that's not amazing. But if they go... I mean, they're about to lead the Stampede, probably. They Gate Creeper Vine. Theoretically, if they went down enough cards, only had a couple, even if one of them was the Spy, we could make them discard them. Caretaker. Okay. Yeah, we can make them discard 2 of these cards. They don't really need the Swamp, seeing as they have the Caretakers, though. Getting white here. Bojuka Bog is interesting. I can't really use that this turn. So yeah, we're just gonna refurb and Ephemerate. Take 2 of their cards. Discard a Dread Return. I can't bog them, and I wouldn't have been able to because I couldn't play this unless I played my land, so I didn't make a mistake there. Also, they usually play 2 Dread Returns at this point. Well, we'll make them discard the Swamp or the Lead the Stampede, and if they discard the Swamp, I guess I need to find removal for both Caretakers, and that seems unlikely, seeing as we don't have that much removal. But, well, they Lead the Stampede. Maybe they whiff. That's a possibility, too. Well, they didn't whiff. They only got 3, but one of them was a Spy, and they've gotten probably all 4 lands they have in the deck. Although maybe they're about to Wildling for another one here, in which case they have a 5th. No, they're playing the Wall of Roots. I guess they could do both. Okay. Dang, I wanted them to Roost Seek, because then I could Familiar, Skyfisher, Familiar, and I could make them discard 2 of their cards. Well, yeah, their last 2. Well, here they discard a Lotleth Giant. Well, I could Skyfisher, refurb. They discard their Wildling, and then they Balustrade Spy, and they kill us. I could Bojuka Bog, but I feel like the chances they have at least 1 more Giant and Dread Return are pretty high. But we don't really have another option. It's either make them discard a card or Bog. Mulldrifter doesn't do anything here. So, yeah, if only we could make them discard 2 cards. Pick up Skyfisher, play this again. It's not going to do it. And they Spy and we die. All right. Our only hope is that deck building, that they don't have another one of either of those. It seems unlikely, but that's what we're doing. We'll play the Skyfisher and pick this up. It costs 2 mana. and now we likely die. I especially don't think they would have discarded the giant if they only had one giant, unless if they already knew that they had another one. Unless they also only had one Dread Return and they just knew that it was going to be death. But yeah, looks like they are not afraid. Graveyard, another giant, another Dread Return. They have Fiend's main deck. Nothing else out of the ordinary. All right, we are dead. We get Thraben Charm, Dawnbringers. Duress doesn't really do anything. Arms of Hadar doesn't really do anything. Okay. This one might not be great, but if we can stick a Cleric and then have Ephemerate up for it, maybe we can get there. We're leaving in all the removal. This is not one where our game plan really matters, unfortunately. So taking out all of these, Mulldrifter can draw us to it. Arms of Hadar kills Quarian Ranger for really expensive. I guess we haven't seen it yet, but Mulldrifter with Renewal can just draw us a lot. I mean, their deck's pretty much all creatures, so Duress is not good, but sniping like a Lead the Stampede or a Winding Way would be good, but it's just kind of unreliable to do that. Like, if they start with it in their opener and we start with it on our opener, maybe we get them. But if we top deck at any point, it's pretty much a dead card. And if they just don't start with one in their opening hand, it's a waste of a card. I mean, I guess we'll keep this. This might be the best we can do. Like, kind of fast start. I don't know what I'm talking about. This Inspector's never getting in, so the Hacker's bad. Maybe Spellstutter Sprite catches something. They land grant for a forest. They have a Pilfer and a Fiend, which they play turn 2. And I guess that means we could get in with the Inspector. Sure. Well, if this brew just absolutely flops, you know, I'll probably run back another league with a good deck and actually try to win some games. Maybe some Wildfire, some Black Sack or something. They cycle a Generous at now. Did they not cycle at their end step? My end step? Oh, I assume they would have cycled the Troll for a Swamp and started playing these guys. They did not. Okay. Well, I could Hacker this back, attack, draw a card, and I could hold up Spellstutter, which doesn't get these still. Don't have much else to do, so we're gonna do that. Draw a card here, Razor Tide. I can just leave up Spellstutter for Caretaker. I guess if they cycle Troll, they'll probably also play the Caretaker, but they'll probably go for a Fiend first. But then I can still just crack a Clue. Yeah, that's fine. Cycle the Troll. How easy/hard is it to get a bunch of Pauper decks on Moto with a fresh account? That is a great question. It's not extremely easy, I will admit. I started last year on Moto. I mean, I've been playing Magic for 15 years, but I didn't start doing Moto until like last January. It's about a year and a half. And you got to spend a little bit of money, obviously. But I decided to just pick... Yeah, they're going for a bridge. That's annoying. I just picked one deck to build and then bought the cards for that deck and then also bought a few... yeah, they're not going to play the Caretaker here until second main. All right, I'll crack the clue. I picked one deck and I picked Golgari Gardens, which was pretty good at the time. It's not amazing now. And it was about $50 to buy that deck, which is one of the more expensive decks. You can get a Pauper deck for, I mean, Black Sack is as cheap as like 10 tickets. Like there are, and it's not a bad deck. So there are pretty cheap decks you can get that are pretty decent. But I would suggest picking one deck that you want to play a lot and you're going to be comfortable learning, or maybe a deck that you already play. If you're not just if you're only new to Moto and not to Pauper in general, you can just pick a deck you're comfortable with. Real quick, what are we doing here? Because they used this, so they still have their hand attack. So Spellstutter doesn't do much. I can't get in with this. Next turn I can Ephemerate Mulldrifter, but not because they're probably going to hand attack me. Well, I think we play this, hold up Clue and Spellstutter, and pass. So I picked Gardens, cost about $50, and then I also put in about $100 total. Other $50 was for play points, and then I just started. I also built the deck in paper at the same time, which obviously cost more, but it also let me practice with not just online, but also with friends. And so I started playing just that deck. I practiced a lot, but I would suggest if you're new to Pauper in general, Goldfish the deck a lot, and also there are games you can play against, just random like tournament practice games that don't cost anything to enter. I would do a lot of those first so that you get comfortable with the deck, also comfortable with the client. If you're not familiar with Moto, it has some pretty wonky UI that you need to get comfortable with. So I would suggest doing that a good amount so you get comfortable with the deck, comfortable with the UI, and then once you feel like maybe you can start winning some matches or you're just comfortable enough with the deck, start playing some leagues. But the leagues cost 100 play points, which I think is $10, and you have to go 3-2 to be able to make any prizes, and you get just your 100 play points back, and you get one chest, which is worth like a ticket and a half, maybe. And so 3-2 is technically going infinite. If you always go at least 3-2, you're not gonna lose anything, but it's not really gaining that much. And then if you go 2-3, you only get 50 play points back, which is half. So it's pretty bad. And so like I started and I went 3-2 a good amount, but I also went 2-3. I went 1-4. Tons of bad results. I believe I had to re-up one time for another like $50, but then since then I never quite dipped below, and I was able to start making enough prizes back that I went infinite. And at that point, you get chests, you open chests. Sometimes they have valuable cards. If it's worth 30 tickets or whatever, then you can turn that into pauper decks. So I started with one deck, and then I started turning that into other decks. But it probably took me a couple of months before that one deck turned into more than just the single deck. And then eventually I just kept getting better at the leagues and everything. And I got enough to the point where I pretty much have every deck that I need or every card that I want. But also, there are still some cards that are just absolutely ridiculously priced. All right, what are we even doing here? That was milled. So we have Spell Stutter for 1, which is just terrible against them. We have a Thraben Inspector. I guess I'm just hard casting this Mulldrifter next turn. So I guess I'm just playing this Inspector and holding up Clue and Spell Stutter. We're super dead. We're gonna lose this game for sure, though. Yeah. So hopefully that answered your question. But I would say that you just pick a deck that looks cool, looks like you could play it a lot, and I'm not going to say don't get an off-meta deck, but definitely get one that's... don't build a brew like this. Like, build a deck that's at least tried and tested so that you can actually win some leagues, because you're going to be getting used to the deck and the client and everything that you don't also want to be playing with, like, a faulty deck when you really just want to win some leagues and stuff. But yeah, there are Lotus Petal. I could counter that. I mean, they already have 4 mana. What difference does it make? Why not? Trying to think. What else? They have a Guardian and a Caretaker. I knew that they could get that through, but I didn't. It's fine. Yeah, I have a few decks made paper-wise, but was hoping for more practice with it outside just weekly games. Yeah, I mean, I think we're just playing... I mean, what are the chances they just win next turn? Low? I mean, if they have the Spy, they're just going to get it, but it feels like they have to find it. We have 1 flyer, so I guess we get in for 1. And then we play a Mulldrifter and hope that we draw some relevant spells, cast downs, and Thraben Charms, and then they don't win next turn. Chocomog? Not amazing. Yeah, to be honest, I only started playing Pauper at all same time I played Moto, which was January last year. And it was because MagicCon Chicago was coming up in February. Me and my buddies wanted to go to that. But we wanted to find some events that were not going to just cost more and more money every hour or every couple of hours. And so it was like, oh, here's a big, long event that we could do. They had like an 8-round Pauper Cup, and we could just play in this. And it's like, I don't know, 10 or 20 bucks to enter. And Pauper's cheap. So it was like, okay, let's just do that. And so I practiced for about a month before then. And that's when I got on Moto. And it's been great ever since. But yes, I have 2 different stores that do bi-weekly events, alternating weeks. So I get to play roughly once a week in paper, which is great, but does not satisfy me all the time. And so that's why I'm on Moto too often. Way too much, probably. They have Spy here, but they've only found 3 lands. No, 1's in their yard. Yeah, they should just have it, right? They only had 4 lands last time. Axebane gives 3. Caretaker, they have 1 extra mana they don't even need. Same boat about a cheaper format and something more interesting. Yeah, I think the reason a lot of people get into... Oh, that'll do it too. That's fine. A lot of reasons people get into Pauper is because of the cost, which is a great reason. Magic is way too expensive. I think other formats like Modern and Standard and Legacy look cool, and I'm trying to branch out into them, but they're just so dang expensive. And so I think it's a very good reason to get into Pauper. What are they doing? They think I have a Fairy Macabre, that's why. Okay, they pilfer away my Chocomog. So that's why I got into it. I think that's why a lot of people do. But then once you're in it, it's just the best format out there. Like, I've never seen any other meta that just adapts to itself constantly. And maybe that's because it's not as big of a community. Like, it is a big community, but maybe it's not because it's not as big as Modern or whatever. There's not as many people playing, so there's not one definitive good deck. But I don't know, it feels like every week there's a different best deck, a different deck winning challenges, a different deck winning showcases and qualifiers, any big tournaments that they have. And yeah, it just, every time I'm like, oh, this seems like to be the best deck, like Jund Wildfire, and then there's like 200 people out of 1,100 that take it to Paupergeddon, and only one of those makes it to 32 or whatever it is. And so it's just such an interesting, ever-changing meta that I love it a lot. They have double spy here. I mean, I have to get lucky, but we could draw a card off a landscape or a clue, and if we top deck a Thraben Charm, we could just win if they go for it, which they've been pretty patient not to. But I'm pretty sure we just play this, attack. I could attack with this, throw it away for 1 damage. That doesn't make sense. Hope they go for it, and hope that our top deck is a Thraben Charm. That's about the only way we win, I think. They've been overly cautious, I would say. But they've also been in a reasonable spot where they kind of can take their time, so I don't know if it's too much, but they lead the Stampede. They are not going for it yet. I mean, again, they have time, but they find another Fiend. Yeah, cast that. And they only find a Fiend. 3 mana, draw 1 card. I mean, they're going to Fiend, see the coast is clear, go for it with the Spy, and if our top deck is good, then we have a shot. Go crazy. Take the land of your dreams. But really don't, because you're not allowed. There's a Spy. Target themselves. Interesting. All right. Thraben Charm. Curse Marauder. All right, they're going to get there. Well, 0-4 so far. Deck is performing beautifully. Just, we got them right where we want them. They won't even know what hits them. Well, what's going wrong is the question. I mean, there, we didn't find a Thraben Charm, but also we just didn't have enough removal. More cast downs, Marauders. The hackers were bad there, but mostly because we used it to pick up an Inspector. Like, if we used it to pick up something else, it would have been fine. It wouldn't have gotten in more than once, but that's fine. Well, we have a removal spell, and then we have this guy to pump nothing, but then we can evoke. We got lands. We got a lot of good draws. We find an Angelic Renewal, play that on 2, Soul on 4, and then summon Chocomog with 5 guys. Baby, you got a stew going. They are Dimir something. Let's say Dimir Control, Sneaky Snackers and such. Modern Age, Cryogen Relic. Okay, fair enough. Ooh, Refurb is decent. It's not amazing. I mean, it's a good draw. It just, we don't have much else to follow it up with. But I guess if we have to, next turn we can Soul for just 2/1/1s, and then I can Choco. Just kind of be the worst. Yeah, I knew that was going to be bad too. Just kind of be the worst White Weenie you've ever seen. Hard Evidence. Okay, so this is like Dimir Control. They're probably going to have, I mean, that's what I said, but, you know, they're probably going to have Abjure and stuff. They Insight the Relic. Get back the Snacker. Ooh, we can Hacker them. Hacker, Refurb again. I can also Marauder the Snacker away if I really want. Oh, we're definitely going to take a draw and a re-discard. Inspector. Okay, we're building up our creature count for this Choco. Discard a Hard Evidence. I don't think I care enough about this that I want to kill it right now. Next turn, if I want to clear it as a blocker, I can Marauder and Choco. And that could be pretty good. They swing for 2. Okay. Makes me think they're going to just sacrifice it to a Fanatical Offering to bring it right back. Ah, it's another Insight. I was so close. Okay, they hold up Counterspell or Abjure. Another Refurb. So I could Refurb. That gets countered. We Choco, attack for 6. We can loot. Okay, seems reasonable. We're just really hoping to find like an Ephemerate for this Soul. They let that go. Maybe happy to discard another Snacker. They just have a land drop. Let's see. If I do this, they counter it. It's not great. I could also just crack a Clue token, hope for a better 2-drop. Yeah, I think we'll do that actually. Spellsutter's not bad. I mean, it counters a 1-drop, but it's also just another creature we can put on the field. It does gotta feel like we have like 2 or 3 decks going here. We have our Fairies deck, we have our Orzhov Glint Blade, and we have our White Weenie. Alright, they crack a Clue. I guess I don't know how many 1-drops they're going to have. Maybe another Hard Evidence. Or a Blood Fountain, if they're really artifact heavy, but that doesn't seem super likely. Maybe just like a Duress main deck. Attack again. We are fine with you just drawing cards. Don't care too much. There's a relic. Draw. Aquifer, pass. Feels like they might want to block her if they're not going to get it back right away. Another familiar. Okay, so I can Mog. Counterspell I can't do anything about, but if they Abjure, I can Spell Stutter. They could have another Abjure. Or I could just Refurb and Soul of Migration, and then that makes the Mog better next turn. Get in for 5 here. They might tap something down. Keep it tapped, rather. I think we wait one more turn on the Saga. Swing with the crew. Get in for 5, and then evoke this for just Eyes in the Skies. 4 mana, 2 1/1s with flying. Don't forget. And they're happy to see us do that, I guess. I don't know why they would be. I guess if they're running Suffocating Fumes or Arms of Hadar main deck, we are toast. But a Spell Stutter's not going to change that. So we're just going to hope that's not the case. They discard a Lorien. Hand is stacked. Cast down a Refurb is a good sign, I think, that they don't have the Arms of Hadar. Bojuka Bogus. Murmuring Mystic. Okay. If we can get the Snacker dead, we can Marauder the Mystic, which they'll probably block with the Snacker. Ephemerate. Finally. I could Ephemerate the Marauder. Actually, I was going to Mog and then Marauder, but I could Marauder, Spell Stutter, or Marauder and Ephemerate, and then my Spell Stutter can eat an Abjure, which I'm going to guess they have here, which means they're going to have both their guys dead. They're going to have a bird and a crab. They block there and there. They take 5 down to 5, but we've killed the Mystic. Whereas if I do Chocomog and they don't counter that, then, well, if they don't block, well, if I play this, they counter it, I attack, they probably block, and then I still get this, and I have Ephemerate for later, but I don't think I need that. Yeah, I think we're going for the Marauder here to make him sack a guy, and then I guess we have to sack 2 creatures as well. So we'll sack our Inspector in this. That's fine. So I'll just let this resolve. Yeah, sack the Inspector. They sack the Snacker. And then I Ephemerate. They Abjure that as foreseen. And then I Spell Stutter. Counter that. Flicker the Marauder. And then I can just sack the Marauder. Yeah, make them lose that. Swing with the team. Hit for 4. Because I forgot that I'd have to lose my Inspector. And then we get to Ephemerate, make him discard another card. Although that means one of these guys doesn't attack next turn. And then we have the Chocomog. I don't know. It seemed decent. It wasn't the most insane thing ever, but not bad. Bojuka Bogus, that's fine. Double Bog, huh? They cast down our Refurb in response. That's rude. They cast down our Spell Stutter in response. How dare you? Well, there's no reason to rebound this on a hacker, so I think we'll just leave that in exile. And then we can Choco. Oh, now we get the Mulldrifter. Well, if we play this, they have to chump. They could have a counterspell, which honestly would be better than them countering the Mulldrifter, maybe? I don't know. If they don't have a counterspell, this gets in for 4 and they have to lose their crab, which means no Abjure next turn, which seems good. Unless they have like a cast down or something. Another cast down. They have a Spell Stutter. Okay. They could keep one of these around then, but oh, they do. Keep the crab. All right. Down to 2. We got 3 lethal attackers. They insight away the crab. That's why they kept it. Get back their Snacker. All right. We won a game, y'all. Let's see if we can take down the match. Duress is good. They have Snackers, so Clerics and Charm feel decent. Don't think Arms is necessary. Let's go for... Let's see, Kenku. They have a bunch of cast downs. We didn't see like an Agony Warp. They'll probably bring in Suffocating and Arms of Hadar if they have them, but that doesn't really care for the Kenku. So I think that seems good. Marauder was decent. Hacker's not feeling amazing. Rattleclaw suggested it might not be the best. And here especially, we have a lot of flyers, but here especially where they have Snackers and Murmuring Mystic, and then they have crabs to block the hacker, it doesn't seem great. Inspectors also feel a little low impact when they have crabs. Not to get, too personal about them, but that's what they have. All right, we have Angelic Renewal, Skyfishers, Ephemerate. I mean, we need lands. We need some black lands, and then we also need something to pick up and renew, but I don't know. It seems okay. Okay, another renewal. Wasn't what we were hoping for. Thraben Charm. Oof. Well, I was kind of hoping we would get like another untapped land and then a Mulldrifter we could do on turn 3. Even if we have to discard some, we'd get to sculpt our hand pretty nicely. We have another relic, and we get a refurb with no black mana. Okay, I guess we just pick this up and pass. They cycle a Lorien. Play the Aquifer. Pass. Come on. Black lands. Oh, gosh. Well, our deck is perfect, so I don't know what's going wrong. I would assume we need more. Like 20 lands works with like Jund Wildfire. Again, they play 21 usually, but it works decently because they have so much card draw and so many 2-drops, and we have most of our card draw is more expensive than that. We actually have the renewal in the my Soul Migration, but we don't have the lands to make it work this time. I mean, theoretically, these Skyfishers could just go the distance, but I'm not thinking that's going to happen unless we start drawing some lands. Like a Vault of Whispers. We don't even have Vault. Swamp would be fine. Militia Bugler. There's some card draw. Well, we can attack and exile their graveyard when they try to get their snacker back. They don't even block. Interesting. We'll pass. The tough part, too, is if they kill a Skyfisher, we could Ephemerate it or renewal it, but either way, we'd have to bounce another permanent back to our hand, and that's not really what we want to be doing with these permanents. They cycle another Lorien, another Aquifer, Hard Evidence. That's fine. I just pass here. All right. Inspector. Okay. I should maybe have played that first. Well, no, because then we can't Thraben Charm. But it would give us something to return to hand that we don't mind if these died in combat. They're just taking it. I mean, what are they doing, man? They cast down here. Okay. I could Ephemerate. We haven't hit our land drop. Or if we could just let it come back. We haven't hit our land drop. Yeah, I should have played it so that we had our 2-drop back. I could Ephemerate, pick up the land, play it again. We still have our Thraben Charm. Yeah, if we just played the Inspector, then we could crack the Clue. This comes back with the Renewal. I don't really want to bounce anything. I don't have to bring it back with the Renewal. I'm just trying to figure out, like, these are the resources we have, so keeping them around feels kind of important. I guess I'm going to Ephemerate. I don't care too much if they want to counter this. They have a Spell Stutter. Well, that is annoying. Maybe they counter the cast down. Dang. All right, so I could bring it back, bounce the Ancient Den now that I've used it, and then replay it. I think that seems reasonable. Hit him for 2, and now I could leave up this again, but I don't need to do that. I think I just play Inspector, so if we don't draw anything again, I can just play crack a Clue. They crack a Clue and pass to us. I mean, they only have 3 cards in hand. Obviously 2 sitting on the field here, but like, I feel like we've been doing so little. They should have something going. They could double block on a Skyfisher. I think that's fine. Then we can Thraben Charm away the snacker. They just chump. Okay, we're gonna pass. Like, with our hand being this bad, I'm just so surprised that they are not just running away with this. Okay, so they do this. I have to let them draw first. Well, I don't have to, but we let them. This does mean that they could have a counterspell now. Oh, I think I chose the wrong mode. Exile. Which is possible, but first of all, if they had another draw 2 already, then they could have used it on the snacker. Yeah, that's annoying. They could have used it and gotten the stacker back anyway, but also the Eviscerator's Insight I kind of wanted to counter, but now I didn't get either, so maybe it was worse. They pass to us. We get another blank spell. Oh, excuse me. All right, I think we're swinging with the Skyfishers. Kind of fine with whatever trade they want to do here. Okay, they finally want to trade. And I think we're cracking a Clue, hoping that by now we should hit a 3rd land. Nope, I guess not. 16 cards deep, 2 lands. They Eviscerator's Insight the Relic, get their snacker back, cast down. We discard, don't know if it matters at this point. Cast down of our own. Although I guess that's our answer to a Murmuring Mystic if it hits the field, but so be it. Why does that keep flickering like that? They swing for 2, flashback the Insight on the snacker. This deck looks rough. All right, we've lost control of the game, and I'm tired of not drawing lands. So let's go to the 3rd game. Interesting. There they were. 38 cards down. 22. So our top 22 cards had 2 lands, which is over 33%. So there should have been 7 lands there. All right. Yeah, we'll just ship it back. 1 lander. I could have been greedier. We could have done 18 or 19 lands, and clearly that wouldn't have worked. But I thought 20 would be plenty. I guess we're down to 4. Amazing. Dawnbringer, Cleric, and Ephemerate. I think we're just keeping the Ephemerate Mulldrifter and hoping we can get that off, and that gets us back into the game, since we're already starting not really in the game. We even won 1 game against them, and now they're treating us like this. Ridiculous. Goldmire Bridge. Probably should have just played the landscape so we could have blue up in case we get like a spell stutter, but oops. Pull out an Aquifer. I mean, you're saying there's a chance. Maybe if they just like tap out with a Cryogen Relic and a tapped land, we can get this off. There's a Snacker, although that means they could have Abjure, which would be pretty annoying and would probably just lose us the game. What are the chances? Inspector. I could just play an Inspector, see if they tap out next turn. I feel like they gotta have it. I feel like we're gonna wait a little bit longer. You know, they could just like slam a Murmuring Mystic or something here. Thorn of the Black Rose, you know, really get me. They almost insight the Snacker, then they hard evidence first because they realized they wouldn't have Abjure. Now they're going to do it. No, they're not even going to do it. Okay, well, yeah, I can't go for it while they have all this mana up. Duress is good, but we need a fifth land to be able to do that all in the same turn. And even then, if they had a Spell Stutter and an Abjure, we're going to be wrecked. I think we're passing. Try to force him to do something with his cast down and then get the Mulldrifter off. We'll take 2. They just pass? That's not what I want. Not what I want at all. Thraben Charm. Alright, we'll pass again here. I'm sure it's just their draw, but they're playing entirely differently. Before they were happy to tap out with every Cryogen Relic they could find, and now they're leaving up mana like a good control player. I could cast down the Crab. What does that do? Nothing. They just Spell Stutter it and it doesn't really matter. Alright, Refurb. I mean, that's something to kick it off. I knew I shouldn't have gotten this second blue though. This pinches us on mana. Alright, they annul because I can't Duress and then cast down or Thraben or anything, which is annoying. We'll pass. Swing for 2. You got a Ninja over there? Yeah, I didn't think so. I guess we're gonna cast down this Crab. I could cast down the Snacker, but they probably just have like a draw 2, they sack it, they get it right back, it doesn't matter. Casting down the Crab isn't super relevant either, but if they have Abjure, it's at least something to take off the field. But yeah, they just have the Spell Stutter. But now if I draw a land, maybe I can Duress and get through, or like tap them out more, and then we can get this off. They have another Spell Stutter. And then they've been playing like they have Abjure this entire time, so I'm sure they do. And yet, what else do I have to live for? Here's a Mulldrifter. Draw 2 cards, and try to Ephemerate it. That worked? Oh my gosh. Never in a million years did I expect that to work. Suddenly we also have 5 cards in hand. All right, we'll pass. Maybe we have a shot here. I was about to concede as soon as that got countered because I did not think we were coming back. But I mean, they probably could kill the Mulldrifter, so I can't draw 2 more. Yeah, but I don't know. We're still not dead yet. Cycle Alorian and swing for 4. They have counterspell mana up. I guess if I draw another Ephemerate, I could go with like Migration or something, but we'll get a clue here. Like Migration Ephemerate as blockers. Cast down. Well, I could Skyfisher, which blocks, and pick up a land, replay that, but I can't pick up a land that would even let me have Thraben Charm and cast down. I could pick up a land and then I could Soul of Migration as more blockers. That's not bad. I think we start with this and then evoke this, and that's fine. 2 flyers. Cast down the Skyfisher. Swing with the team. Well, I'll block the Spell Stutters. We're at 6. They sack. The Snacker comes back while we're tapped out, unfortunately. Aqueduct. Ancient Den. We are low on life, so I could just like cast this down, try to Thraben Charm it. They have a counterspell for that. It's not great. I could just cast a Mulldrifter and then block, but then I can't exile it. I think I'm just going to cast it down. If they have a Spell Stutter here, I guess I'll kind of be forced to Thraben Charm to kill one of the fairies. Yeah, it looks like they're going to Abjure this with the Crab. No? Maybe they'll just let it go. Then I leave up Thraben Charm. Pass. They have a Relic. That's fine. Crack the Relic. I'm just going to draw them their card for Snacker. I'll try to exile it. I feel like they're going to have a counterspell, but so be it. There it is. Comes back. We're going to crack a clue. Ephemerate's not bad, although they have mana up. Ooh, and Duress isn't bad to maybe get this through. Alright, those are some good draws. Well, double annul, double Abjure, so that's annoying. I take an Abjure, they still just get the other one through. Choco-Mog's just not resolving ever. I mean, it's got to just be one of these, but... So, if I hard cast a Mulldrifter, they just counter it, so that doesn't make any sense. If I evoke it, maybe they let it through? Probably not, but I guess that's our best bet is to draw 2 off of this. Yep, they're gonna sack. Man, we drew... Those 2 cards were such great draws, and they just had 4 counterspells in hand. Oh, they sacked the Snacker. That's weird. I feel like if I had a Thraben Charm, another one, then they would they would lose their snacker there. So I did not expect them to do that. Well, now they insight, they get it back, play an Aquifer, and we'll crack this. Our hand is looking mighty poor, although theoretically if we draw like another Mulldrifter or Soul Migration, if they haven't drawn another counterspell, that could be pretty good. Like, yeah, if they don't have interaction, Soul might actually be our best draw, because that could just like win the game pretty quick. Although they're not going to have the Chocomog backing them up. Okay, I mean, that's not a bad guy either, except for the fact that it gets annulled. Dang, they remember to cast it. Cops are coming. Alright, we're passing hard evidence. I guess maybe I just Ephemerate this Inspector to see if we have anything to draw. Kind of have nothing else going on. See if we can get something from a clue. We kind of, yeah, let them, waited long enough that they could just Ephemerate, that they could cast that down. Not great. Marauder gets a snacker. I think I see the writing on the wall here. We're not going to get this one. Dang. Unfortunate. I thought we really had something going there. And then we mulliganed to 4. And that didn't help. Maybe if we had not, we would have been okay. Because they did not have a lot of pressure. Their deck did not go fast at all. And it was a control deck. It doesn't need to go fast. But it seemed particularly slow. Let's try again, I suppose. All right. I mean, this hand looks reasonable. It's all 2s, and it's kind of awkward because Skyfisher doesn't have anything great to pick up, which means Hacker doesn't have anything great to pick up, and Marauder is just removal. Maybe this deck is missing something. Creatures that want to get picked up for cheap. Because like a Mulldrifter in the late game is nice to pick up, but that's pretty late game. More blue-black. Another Marauder. Am I just playing a Skyfisher and picking up a land? Or I could just play a Hacker, both of which are pretty bad. Alright, here we go. This is what we've come to do, I suppose. I'm starting to think this deck might not be tier 1 for some reason. They cast down. Oh, and we accidentally passed through our entire turn. That's exactly what we were wanting. Well, they're Grixis, looks like. Interesting. I mean, we would have just had one more land, but I've heard lands are pretty good, and that would allow us to play an Inspector and actually crack the clue. Instead of just not. Oops. Play a Tributary. Okay, so clearly Snow does not matter. They're not playing Scred, I would assume. Kenku. I think I Hacker, and it doesn't matter. Oh, they just Defile. They were ready for the Hacker. They didn't want that to happen at all. Okay. So I could Kenku, but if they have more Defiles, it's pretty bad to lose a land here. So I think we're just cracking a clue. Dreams of Laguna. Surveil 1 and draw a card. Okay. I don't think I'm going to Thraben Charm that from the grave. I guess what are the chances they're playing Terror? I think low. Usually like a Grixis control list does not play Terror. But I've also not seen any play Dreams of Laguna, so what do I know? Crack a clue. We get a Bugler. There's a land. Anything we play probably gets countered. But if we play the Artificer, it might not get countered because they want to kill our bridge. So I think I'd rather just like run this into a counterspell. Marauder's looking mighty bad here. Until they like Mystic or something here. Seize the Storm. Okay. Number of instances in graveyard and cards with flashback unit in exile. Okay, Thraben Charm actually going to be good here. Because this only cares about flashback cards in exile. So it'll count the Dreams and the Seize the Storm, but it won't count the others. Also, Marauder looking even worse because it does not kill this creature right now. But I think we're just exiling their graveyard right now before they can cast it again. Makes this a 2-2. We only have 1 white, so I guess I just play a Moon Circuit Hacker. That does not seem good. And yet, here we go. Well, they only have 3 cards left, and just a 2-2 on board, which obviously grows as they play spells. They have another Seize the Storm. Okay. 3-3. We get another Hacker. Marauder's so bad. I could Kenku and leave it back to block. I could just Inspector here. I think we Inspector. Crack. Another Moon Circuit Hacker. If we double block and they have any spell to cast, then we just lose our guys. So I think we just take it. Mulldrifter. Alright, definitely a mana situation that's got to be solved before this deck's going to work. That is the biggest issue. Probably should have left up white in case we draw an Ephemerate. But this way, they might not even counter it, because it just looks like a divination. Because it is a divination, you see. And yet they still counter it. The disrespect. Alright, we have died here. Their tokens instantly vanish. Interesting. Okay, we have Duress, more Charms, and Clerics. I guess Blast can kill the token. Marauders were heinous. Artificer with Defile looks bad. Hackers, I think they might be okay in some version of this deck, but they are not cutting it here. I fully agree with that. Chocomogs, not. I might forego the last match here in the 0-4 bracket because this current list does not feel like there's much to work with. Mulldrifter, Bugler. Cleric is good for later. I think that's the greedy play. Greed hasn't been serving us very well. Let's get rid of this Bugler. All right, Inspector off the top would be nice. No. We can still get down 2 familiars next turn, which is not bad. Unless they have a non-double blue counterspell here, or I guess just a way to kill one. Renewal could be okay. I think we're just putting down familiars. If we can get it through, actually, renewal with our Mulldrifter could actually be pretty good. That is one of our strats, but we'll have to see if that works out. Double familiar, though, could just be a nice aggressive plan here from turn 3 on. Get rid of a defile. I guess they could also just have like a breath weapon or something. Well, that would help against a breath weapon. We're gonna attack, and I'm just gonna play this renewal, and then maybe next turn we draw another land. We can play Mulldrifter with Blue Blast backup. A quick study. Okay. Yeah, they just really want to be playing at instant speed. I guess we're not the only ones playing Divination. You have a Drown in Sorrow. Why couldn't you be a breath weapon? You want to be playing at instant speed, right? Come on. Well, we can return one of those, but I think we're just saving this for the Mulldrifter and hoping they don't have, I don't know, Force Spike, I guess? I don't think they're going to have a Force Spike. Duress? Well, we're just casting this. This is what we've been trying to do all day. So we draw 2 here. I guess they could have a way to exile it from the graveyard. It sacrifices to its trigger, and Angelic Renewal will bring it back. Look at that. It worked. And we get a Plains, which means we can play this Inspector. That's all I want to do. This might not be the deck to do it. Again, the black does not feel like it's contributing enough, so maybe Azorius, what I tried to build originally, was what we should be at. They also have an Arms of Hadar. Okay. That's fine. We have 6 cards in hand. They have 3. Also, we got a familiar, so we can make them discard another one, or we could just duress them. My cat came over and put a bunch of hair in my mouth. I guess I could duress familiar and then Thraben Charm if I want. That seems pretty good. Focus the Mind, Lorien, and another quick study. Let's get rid of Lorien. Let's get rid of, well, their choice. Focus. And there's no reason I need to exile the graveyard at the moment, so we'll just pass. And Clue token, probably. They quick study, play a land, crack a Clue, another Spell Stutter, Skyfisher, okay. Swing, although we lost our Clue, so this actually costs 2 to bring back, which means I wouldn't have Spell Stutter up or anything. Could just pick up like Landscape, then I'd have Spell Stutter plus sack this to get another blue. I'm trying to think of the worst thing that could happen. Kind of like just making him discard another card. Yeah, let's just do that, even if it costs us 2. We tap out. Maybe that's bad, but like, I don't know. Even if they wipe our board, it's not the end of the world. And Arms of Hadar is not going to wipe our board this time, which is nice. Looks like they found like a Lorien, or is that a Mystic maybe? They have no idea. They're just tapping stuff. It is a Lorien. Okay. I knew it was a Lorien. They just started tapping their mana. Nice top deck from them. Mulldrifter. A swing. I think now we just hold up mana. Right? They're going to pass. Well, I'll sack this, get our second blue. This is just a fast enough clock. I don't think we need to add to it. I think we just leave up our counter spells here. Pass to them. And they have a Tendrils of Corruption. Okay. 6 damage and they gain 6. I don't have a counterspell for that. I could Thraben Charm my own Skyfisher. That's essentially just 2 mana. They don't gain 6. I don't think that seems very good, especially when that would mean that their Seize the Storms would just be enormous. Although we do have 2 blue elemental blasts for Seize the Storm. But I think we just let them gain their life. Crack their landscape and something else. Dreams of Laguna. I could double Spell Stutter if I really want to counter that. I don't think I care that much. I could Graveyard Exile now so they can't Dreams again. That actually doesn't seem too bad, seeing as I don't have many cards. And I want to exile their graveyard at some point for the Seize the Storm. We still have double blue blast here, though. There's a quick study. I do just have a lot of card draw. I think I'm going to flash in one of these guys. They've shown Drown in Sorrow and Arms of Hadar. They've not shown any instant speed board wipes, so I thought it was probably fine there. And now we get to speed up our clock by 2 turns. And also, it feels like they're not going to Spell Stutter for 0 here. They have another Tendrils. Well, those Tendrils are pretty annoying, to be honest. It is kind of cool seeing someone use Tendrils effectively, especially in a non-mono black deck. Kind of cool. They are drawing a lot of card draw spells. Suddenly at 16 life. Inspector. They have a Cast Down. That I can Spell Stutter, potentially. Unless they just have another counter spell or another Cast Down. No, that works. I could Inspector. It's kind of bad against another Drown in Sorrow, but they've already used 2 board wipe effects. Oh, there's the third one. And another Dreams. Alright, they tap out for Seize the Storm, which I can just kill later, so I don't need to do right now, because I'd like to crack this Clue. And then I can exile the one from the graveyard Duress, Counterspell, destroy the Blue Blast, or destroy with Blue Blast, exile. This means they get to keep their dreams, but get rid of the seas. Actually, maybe I should have gotten rid of the dreams because we have the blast, but I feel like I'm going to need that for the next one, but I guess maybe they just don't find the next one without the dreams. They defile the cleric. Okay, then they have the dreams. They milled a tributary, found a landscape, cycle that. Ephemerate would be great. Another blue blast. That's too many blue blasts. I wanted Ephemerate. I wouldn't actually use it on the Mulldrifter. Like, I wouldn't evoke Mulldrift because I would just want it for the cast down. So that, like, if they cast down now, I could Ephemerate. But I'll double blue blast means I can take care of a full Seize the Storm again. So that's something. They're going to pass. Ancient Den. Let's cycle this. We're going to cast down in response. Yeah. Fair enough. And of course, that's when we get the Ephemerate. I probably should have attacked first, and then, yeah, maybe shouldn't have even cycled right there. The fact that it was the next card was brutal. They still have not learned how to tap mana, because they're tapping 6 for the Seize the Storm. We're gonna blow this guy up, and we get a bridge. What a riveting match. I definitely threw a little bit there. I think if I just hadn't cycled that, they would have probably eventually tried to cast it down, and then I draw the Ephemerate in response. They tapped 6 mana for this again. Unless they're casting something different. Oh, it's 7 this time. Never mind. You know what? You got me. All right. Mulldrifter. Okay, it's a bridge. I guess I should technically do this in their upkeep if we're playing right, which, you know, I'm not used to, but I'll give it a try. Or in response to this dreams, in case they have another counterspell coming. They put a card on top of their library. They found another Seize the Storm. Well, lucky them. All right, Mulldrifter into Thraben Charm. Turn 17. This is great. We get another bridge. Okay, a quick study. Well, I think this deck looks pretty easy to counter, and we're not even able to. We got them close, but then the Tendrils of Corruptions were pretty rough. So if we're not even able to take this one down, this is not looking good for the Esper scam deck. The Lorien revealed, swing for 16. We draw another swing. Well, that did not go great. Deal 0-4 bracket. Well, let's see. It's 5 o'clock. Well, I think for my first stream, doing Pauper, I guess, because I did the stream the other day, I think I'm going to call it there. Unfortunately, the deck did not perform very well. I think some things there's some potential for. I think the biggest thing that I see could do well is like Angelic Renewal and Mulldrifter. Like Ephemerate Mulldrifter, great. I feel like Renewal with Mulldrifter and Renewal just in general could be okay. So I'll probably keep trying to explore that. But 0-4 didn't feel great. I'm not expecting the last match to go very well either. I did take a poll on YouTube to see what time and what days people would prefer me to stream if I start trying to have a set schedule. I'm not necessarily able to commit to anything yet, but I'm thinking I'm going to try to start streaming Saturdays and Mondays, potentially. That's when people seem the most interested. And right now I've just had a lot of free time, and so I might stream a lot just throughout the week. But I am going to try to stream this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a little bit later than this stream, obviously. And we'll probably go for, 3 or 4 hours. And that time I don't think I'm going to brew anything. This I just had the idea for. I'll probably just bring whatever deck I want to play. So make sure to be following to know when I do that. I plan to stream this Saturday, and then after Saturday, we'll see. I'll probably try to stream on Monday as well, and then sometimes throughout the week as well. For anybody who is still here, sneak peek tomorrow. Every Friday, I'm trying to do a video for a new format now, and then I'm keeping Tuesday videos Pauper, and I'm doing Sunday videos for Pauper Leagues as well. So tomorrow is Standard. I brewed a deck, an Ancient One Dimir self-mill deck in Standard, and took it for a league, and didn't do too poorly with it. I had some cool stuff that I was able to do. Ancient One is like my favorite Commander deck. I do play some Commander, and so 2-mana 8/8 seemed like a good card for Standard, so I figured I'd give that a try. And yeah, so I got that video coming tomorrow, and then Pauper video coming on Sunday and Tuesday. And then I have shorts every day that I don't have a league coming out as well. So today's video is a bit of an experiment. I streamed this VOD 2 days ago on Thursday and brewed a deck that I thought was pretty cool. And we took it into a league. We didn't necessarily do super well. And I am just wondering, this is the type of video that if I recorded it and didn't stream it, I generally would just not show it. to anyone. I just would delete it, and no one would watch it. However, people did seem interested in watching the VODs of the streams, since not everybody's able to catch the stream, and that totally makes sense. Is this video a video that you enjoy watching? Please let me know, because if you don't, this will not show up anymore on the channel. I will only post the VODs of the streams that I consider a success. But if you are someone who just wants more Pauper content and wants to see whatever it is that I'm doing, let me know, because then I will post them for you.